For over a decade, bodies were found scattered along Gilgo Beach, victims with no killer, no answers, and no end in sight. Then, in 2023, a shocking arrest. Rex Heuermann, a quiet architect, a father, and now an accused serial killer. Hidden in plain sight, living a double life. How did he get away with it for so long? And what finally brought him down? This is the chilling case of Rex Heuermann. Welcome to Whispers of the Taken, where every mystery is a voice lost in the shadows. This video is based on public information and falls under fair use. Like, subscribe, and comment. Even the quietest voice can echo the loudest truth. Before his name ever made headlines, Rex Heuermann was known simply as a hardworking architect and family man from Massapequa Park, Long Island. Born in 1963, he spent most of his life in the area and lived in the same house for decades. He was married with 2 children and often described as quiet and reserved. To neighbors, he kept to himself, rarely drawing attention but never raising alarm. Professionally, Heuermann built a reputation as a highly detail-oriented architect. He founded RH Consultants and Associates in 1994, based in Midtown Manhattan, and worked with well-known retail clients including Target, Burlington, and Foot Locker. Colleagues and clients knew him as methodical, professional, and always prepared. He was the kind of man who blended into the background, dependable, consistent, and seemingly ordinary. To those around him, Rex Heuermann lived a quiet, stable life built on routine, responsibility, and structure. Before their names were tied to a haunting stretch of shoreline, the women whose lives ended along Gilgo Beach were daughters, mothers, friends, each with a unique story, a voice, and a future they were fighting to reclaim. They came from different cities and backgrounds, but many shared a common struggle: the weight of financial hardship, the burden of single motherhood, and the pursuit of a better life. Some turned to escort work out of desperation, not choice. A decision made not from recklessness, but survival. Maureen Brainerd Barnes was a mother of 2 from Connecticut, working seasonal jobs and trying to hold her family together when bills piled up. Melissa Barthélemy, a Bronx native, had dreams of owning her own beauty salon and a passion for hairstyling that lit up her future. Megan Waterman, just 22, had a young daughter and a quiet strength her family admired. She was far from home, doing what she thought she needed to do to support the child she loved. Amber Lynn Costello, funny and full of energy, was clawing her way out of addiction and had recently finished rehab, determined to start fresh. Jessica Taylor and Valerie Mack were both young women whose lives had been touched by instability, but they still carried hope. Jessica, at only 20, worked between Manhattan and D.C., always quick with a joke and filled with spirit. Valerie, a mother from Philadelphia who spent time in foster care, had a young son and a quiet resilience that helped her endure. Their lives were complicated, marked by both joy and struggle, but they were far more than the labels assigned to them after they were gone. These women were not disposable, not anonymous. They were human beings with dreams, laughter, memories, and people who loved them. Their lives mattered. And while their names are now part of a tragic chapter in true crime history, we must remember who they were, not just in the way they died, but in the way they lived. The first of the known victims, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, disappeared on July 9th, 2007. It wasn't until December 2010 that her remains were discovered along Gilgo Beach on Long Island, a remote area where the bodies of several women would later be found. Next, Melissa Barthélemy went missing on July 12, 2009. Like Maureen, Her remains were recovered in December 2010 at Gilgo Beach, wrapped in burlap and hidden among the brush. Megan Waterman disappeared on June 6, 2010, while staying at a motel on Long Island. Her remains were also found during the December 2010 search of Gilgo Beach, bringing the total number of victims discovered in that area to 4. The fourth woman, Amber Lynn Costello, vanished on September 2, 2010. Her body was discovered alongside the others at Gilgo Beach in December 2010, marking the grim conclusion of the initial cluster of victims tied to this case. Jessica Taylor disappeared on July 21, 2003. Parts of her remains were found in Manorville, Long Island, days after her disappearance, with additional remains discovered off Ocean Parkway and in other locations years later. Valerie Mack went missing in 2000. Her dismembered remains were first found in Manorville, Long Island, later followed by other parts discovered near Gilgo Beach, though she was not identified until 2020. Sandra Castilla's body was discovered in North Sea, Long Island, in November 1993. Her case was later connected to the others through forensic evidence in 2024. For years, the Gilgo Beach murders remained a chilling mystery, with victims found scattered along a remote stretch of Long Island's shoreline, but no clear suspect in sight. It wasn't until advancements in forensic science and persistent investigative work that Rex Heuermann's name surfaced. A key breakthrough came from DNA evidence collected at the crime scenes, specifically a piece of pizza crust found near the burial sites. Modern forensic labs were able to extract and sequence the DNA from the crust, and it matched Heuermann's genetic profile. This was a pivotal moment, providing the first direct physical link between the suspect and the crime locations after decades of dead ends. In addition to DNA, investigators tracked Heuermann's use of burner phones around the times the victims disappeared. Law enforcement analyzed phone records and found multiple unregistered or prepaid phones tied to his name or locations connected to him. Surveillance footage and witness accounts also placed a vehicle resembling Heuermann's Chevy Avalanche near several disposal sites along Ocean Parkway and Gilgo Beach. This multi-pronged approach, combining DNA, digital forensics, and physical surveillance, built a compelling case. The investigation culminated in a raid on Heuermann's home in Massapequa Park, where authorities discovered a hidden basement gun room reportedly containing nearly 300 firearms. This discovery deepened concerns about his capability and mindset, though no direct evidence connected the weapons to the murders. Still, it highlighted the secretive life he led behind a facade of normalcy. Following his arrest in July 2023, prosecutors focused heavily on the DNA evidence, which formed the backbone of their case. However, Heuermann's defense team challenged the admissibility of this evidence, questioning the reliability of the whole genome sequencing technology used and pointing to the laboratory's accreditation status. They argued that the DNA software had undergone numerous updates and contained glitches, potentially compromising the results. Prosecutors, however, maintained that the technology was valid and widely accepted in forensic science. Since the arrest, the case has seen extensive pre-trial hearings focusing on the technical details of the DNA evidence and other forensic findings. Meanwhile, police continue to sift through Heuermann's digital footprint, including emails, computer files, and phone records, to uncover any additional evidence or connections. The trial, anticipated to begin in late 2025 or early 2026, promises to be a complex and closely watched legal battle that could bring long-awaited justice to the victims and their families. When you look into the eyes of Rex Heuermann, all you see is pure evil. There's a coldness there, a disturbing emptiness that makes you wonder how someone could live so normally on the outside while hiding such darkness within. Behind those eyes lies the pain of families torn apart, the silence of lives stolen too soon, and the unanswered questions that haunted a community for over a decade. But this story isn't just about the monster who walked among us. It's about the women he tried to erase. Women with names, faces, dreams, and people who loved them. They were not disposable. They were not forgotten. Their voices still speak, not in screams or headlines, but in quiet resistance to being lost. And here, in this space, we don't let them fade. Their stories are etched into every word, every moment we choose to remember them. This isn't just another true crime story. This is a promise. A promise that the whispers of the taken will never be silenced.